How's your backhand, by the way? Are you up there with
his backhand?
Shapu?
His backhand is phenomenal. I hit the gentlemanly two-handed backhand, and he hits it. It's unbelievable how good that backhand is.
So if I'm not staring into your eyes today or admiring that used Toronto Maple Leaf shirt you found at the bottom of the laundry bin this morning, thanks for getting dressed up for Bourbon Street. Hopefully you'll forgive me. The NCAA is just an arcane institution. So, for example, if they provide bread and cheese a team does in the afternoon, it's considered a snack. If the team puts the cheese on the bread, it's considered a sandwich, which makes it a fourth meal, and they're only allowed to give them 3 meals a day. So this is one of those classic institutions that is so backwards. There's some good coming out of this. So we want to tell the story about this kid, Dylan Gibbs. He played football at Notre Dame. One day he was coming off the field, and this young man, Timothy Donovan, was there, who's had these 2 life-threatening conditions, 50 surgeries. They became friends. The football player, Gibbs, transferred to Florida State, wants to do a GoFundMe so he can fly Donovan's family down to see him play at Florida State, and even more excitingly, see them play against Notre Dame. Now, because he can use his image, he can actually promote this fundraiser. I mean, love your thoughts. There's some good coming out of this.
Well, there's good all across the board. The fact is, you're letting people control their own lives, and they're actually letting people or stardom or whatever celebrity do great things. People are going to do it for greed, but people are going to do it for good. So,
U.S. Olympic track star Shakira Richardson suspended for a month after testing positive for marijuana.
I don't know. There's just way too many rules in the world. The rules are made up by old people to make young people's lives miserable. Another thing and the fact is, too much time in your hands. That IOC guy is exactly what you think about. It's like, stop it.
So we're getting a lot of Mayoisms today. This is ridiculous. The rule is the rule, but the problem is the rule, which is you've got a substance that is legal in so many parts of the world. Why if you and I could go smoke a joint right now, but if we were qualifying for the 100 meters Olympics, we couldn't compete. So it's a stupid rule. I want you to know that I went out and bought a brand new shirt in honor of you coming, because I don't have to dress very well to outdress Dawn on this show. I was a little more intimidated with you coming on today.
Listen, I was tempted to put on my old Leafs t-shirt, but I did watch the last episode, so.
Then the explosion of relief, where after penalty kicks, Italy was crowned the 2020 Euro Cup champs.
But I swear I saw you and Karen with the champagne Sally in that last clip.
Well,
to College Street.
you could swear that, but I actually wasn't with Karen. Me and my friends went down to Dundas because I knew they weren't all cheering for Italy. So, but to your point, we live like 5 houses from Cafe Diplomatico now. So the partying was going on all night. Question for you. When you think about some of the brands that were top of mind and winners, what brands do you think resonated in North America with North American consumers from Euro this year? Just throw me out 1 or 2.
You know what? I actually thought TikTok would make it top of the list.
TikTok, we're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Do you think the fact that maybe consumers don't think of them as a brand is why they're not here, or just the fact that they got into Euro? Literally, I think they signed their deal in June or May of this year. It was literally 2 weeks before the tournament.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think they were late to the game, certainly. And I also think it's almost seen as a platform still to stream the game, the things they've been doing in North America with the NBA, as opposed to a sponsor.
But then, the minute the 3 players missed, I turned to my friends and said, why did it have to be the 3 black guys?
I love that we're actually talking about the issue of racism in this country as well, that there's active discussions of the way we're going to resolve these issues. It's a toss of a coin, isn't it, scoring a penalty, and yet this is the abuse that he's getting.
I was really disappointed with the community. These boys have done really well for the team. They took us really far. So to get this kind of abuse, round the corner from where I live, it was just shocking.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is absolutely disgusting. And the piece that really stands out is one of the lines in that video there is, had those three individuals made the penalty kicks, they would have been heroes and celebrated for, legends in the country and globally. And they missed, and they become, racist slurs in social. So it's truly disgusting. And I guess the tiny silver lining is hopefully it further brings to light the racism within the culture. And as you can see here, they've got celebrity and players obviously standing by their teammates, which is really great to see. And it's also great to see the way the community wrapped their arms around Rashford, restoring the mural and professing that solidarity to an individual that's done so much for the sport and done so much in the social justice space.
So I worked in the Coca-Cola business for a long time, and my heart, goes out to them. But it is something from a perspective standpoint, having those products there that maybe we talk a little about authenticity. If I don't drink Heineken, I don't drink Coke, what's the value there? So I'd love your perspective on that.
Sure. I think the first thing that the learnings from this is the industry as a whole needs to evolve from rights holders to property. I don't know that anyone buys it, that Ronaldo, the epitome of health, is walking off the pitch after scoring 2 goals and chugging a Coke at the press conference. So I think, while it might be a line item that was inherited in a contract, an evolution needs to take place. Those awkward brand placements, which to your point are not authentic at all. I think a shift needs to happen, and this hopefully opens the eyes of the sponsorship industry in that regards. And you think about the Cokes of the world, and certainly the Heineken, as we know, the same thing happened with Pogba, who's a Muslim, albeit it was non-elk, but that's certainly not a natural fit either. Heineken and Coke are sophisticated brands. They do absolutely wonderful things, consumer-centric experiences. So again, I think it's just another line item that potentially down the road should be reevaluated.
Yeah, I don't think having a bottle of a beverage on an 8-foot table with a draped cloth spells innovation.
That's right. That's right.
If I had the budget to hire anybody in the world to just come into my organization for 24 hours and provide a creative jolt of energy, I think one of the people might be Ryan Reynolds.
Are you looking for something special for your horse this year? Consider the 2021 line of E4 Williams trailers.
Oh, okay. Those are not horses.
Those are not horses. Oh my God! We got TikTok to sponsor our club.
Yep.
We want everyone to know the Wrexham name and story. So thank you to TikTok for your belief in Wrexham.
And also thank you to our new shorts sponsor,
E4 Williams
trailers.
Anytime you want. Go on now,
Yeah, and pretty interesting backstory. Wrexham's the third oldest club in the UK. It's community owned and has been since 2014. And Ryan Reynolds and director Ryan Malconey went and just said, "Look, we'll invest a minimum of £2 million." They'd actually don't have ownership. They just now have control. They promise they won't move the club. They won't change its name. And it's really interesting because they put that money in. To your point, TikTok's followed. So now let's talk about Volkswagen and have a look at the tiny car. So what do you think of that one?
I loved it. And more than I loved it, I loved the way the Twitter world blew up upon that first match when that little tiny car came rolling across. I thought it was great. And as you can see in this, they have 1.7 million likes to this tiny football car. So obviously an instant success.
To your point, and you talked earlier about innovation, this is innovation. So kudos to whoever in the Volkswagen ecosystem came up with this. We kick things off. One of my favorite campaigns over the years has been Procter Gamble using the kind of mom platform, but they made a big pivot to kind of this whole notion of leading with love. Have you been a fan of what P&G's done over the last few years with the mom platform around the Olympics?
I am. I really am. And I think they found a way to tell really compelling stories. And I'm trying to hold back tears here on stream to tell a good story about the athletes without necessarily using the athletes as a focus point. You're using a key demographic for you as a brand, and you're telling really compelling stories.
As long as my head is in place, everything else will work.
Having a dog just brings that light that allows me to just move forward and remain positive.
2024,
Man, that's coming around quick.
Great spot. And if you don't like dogs, I don't want you watching our show anyway. But yeah, pretty neat. And also, you know, to your earlier comments about athletes, I actually like the fact that somebody showed an athlete that didn't make it to these games.
Yeah, I think that's great. And again, emotional support dogs might be a starting point, but really recognizing the challenges that some of these athletes are facing. I'd love to really challenge Allianz and brands out there to continue investing in solutions to help these athletes that are struggling with mental health.
Just 4 days out from the opening ceremony, Tokyo 2020 sponsor Toyota says it will not run games-related TV commercials. It comes amid lackluster public support for the Olympics, with 2/3 of Japanese people surveyed doubting organisers can keep the games safe during the health crisis.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. You get the call from the CEO of Toyota Japan. What would your advice be? Do you think they went the right way? How would you handle this?
I think it's challenging. It's the right decision, in my opinion. There is very strong opposition in the country. We saw in the video 2/3 of the country really doubting the capability of the government to keep these games safe. So when there's so much opposition in your country, and with such a large platform that you have had planned for that country, I think it's the right move, playing it safe.
Just, you know, the one thing we always have to remember is that every Olympic Games has this pent-up angst, right? I can remember sitting in Whistler the day of the opening ceremonies when the luger died. The buses that they had rented from the U.S. couldn't go up the mountains to grouse. Later that arm at the Olympic ceremony, remember that evening, the arm from the Olympic cauldron wouldn't go up. I remember going to the UK and they were terrorist threats, you know, anti-aircraft installations. So every Olympic Games, there's one brand that is not an Olympic sponsor, but always ranks as number one in consumers' minds as Olympic sponsor. And this year they are, because of the inclusion of skateboarding, they're even more excited. So I want you to talk to me. I know you're a sneakerhead. Talk about your Nike SB collection, and let's talk about, do you want to see the video first, maybe, of what Nike's doing to bring Tokyo to the world?
Sure. Let's watch the video and then we can talk about it.
So this must be a dream come true for you.
I mean, first of all, I'm excited to see the skateboarding at the games. That's a sport that I do follow closely, and really excited to have it at the games. And it's also opening the doors to brands like Vans, which I love, and Nike as well, to enter the space and kind of bring their unique personality.
I love it, and I find it really interesting that one of the things that Nike did was they actually brought their marathon technology into the skateboard shoe. And the skateboarders actually aren't really too concerned about that. And I think there's an interesting opportunity for Nike. The designs are amazing. I'm going to defer to you which are the best. But interesting, they're trying to bring performance in something that typically has not been a performance sector. Tell me your point of view. Do you think these games should be happening, not happening? Let me hear it from the heart.
It's a tough spot to be in. I really, don't wish to have made that decision myself. There's a lot of corporate money behind from sponsors, a lot of money that's going to be left out on the table. I'm thinking about brands that were going to activate at the games, thinking about Asahi, who had the rights to sell beer at the stadiums. Now they won't be able to make money out of that partnership.
And so I have three things to comment on. One, I'm borrowing this from other people. Sport is not sport without fans. So then you say, well, that sounds like Harrison, you want to be the governor of Florida because you're a risk taker. No. I don't understand what the heck was the IOC doing? The games were postponed for an entire year. Why were you not working with the host country to ensure that vaccines, because now that Canada's like the highest, we've got more vaccine in penetration than any country in the world. Why were they not working hand in glove with the Japanese government, with local officials, with healthcare? Because it's that simple. And, I'm not trying to be Joe Biden here and lie about how, you won't get sick at all. But quite frankly, it's mind-boggling. And I think you talk about sponsors and people say, oh, well, not very many people get to go. I've been very fortunate to go to 3 Olympic Games in my life. I was supposed to be in Japan last year with a Sponsorship X conference. One of the things about it is that people there become content hubs in this day and age, but they were content hubs back in the days of the postcard and the telegraph. And so the problem with not having people there is the Olympic Games are supposed to represent the ultimate of what you and I do for a living, and they have failed. Remember those old IBM ads where they said if IBM can run the Olympics, they can run your business? They wouldn't want to run those this year. So for me, my combination is there are people being paid a lot of money with big brains and big budgets that should have figured this out. Because nobody wants a super spreader bin. But imagine your son or daughter made it to the Olympics. 70% of Olympians only go once, and you're stuck at a viewing party. I know this is done before. One of our comments here was it was done in Greece. I'm on a rant. We're a minute over, blah, blah, blah. But I'm very upset about it. Do I think the games should have gone ahead? I think they should have gone ahead with better planning.